Hi guys, I did come on here for a minute and talk about emotional processing. It's not the easiest thing to do, but if you are a Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising right now, in your fourth house, you've got Mars right on top of Mercury, and you've got Venus there. And this means that your internal emotional ecosystem is being challenged at this time. And you are going to have thoughts about relationships and, what you get out of relationships, being truthful about your relationships, because all of this is really happening in Capricorn for you. And even if you don't have Libra placements right now, you must have felt the solar flashes we've been having. There's been a series of M-class solar flashes that started on Monday this time. And, a lot of people are exhibiting physical symptoms to these. If you're interested in when these are happening, you can follow the Bougie Healer. She does the play-by-play every day to say whether this is happening or not and how it's going to feel. But 2024 and a little bit into 2025 is a series of solar flashes that are going to challenge you emotionally. So one of the ways that I feel recently is that these solar flashes, especially if you have those Libra placements that I was talking about, this is all happening in your emotional body. And it's basically, these planets are asking you to overcome your mental hurdles regarding relationships and regarding your emotional state. So, and for some people, depending on what your birth chart is like, this is going to show up in physical ailments. I've heard everything. People, since the last M-class waves, solar flashes, people are talking about being sick or having ear problems or just having physical weird symptoms like rashes, suddenly needing to run to the bathroom. It is not pleasant right now. I just wanted to come on here to just say something about emotional processing to drive this home. If they're in Vedic astrology and Vedic wisdom, the Sanskrit scriptures, they talk about three types of people. There are Brahmins, there are Sudras, and there are Vaiyshas. And so what these are determine how you're going to react to a lot of what's going on. So the Brahmins are the spiritual class. And I definitely am part of this class. And as a Brahmin, when the world is changing so rapidly and it's all about emotions, you're looking to hold space for those emotions, and you're looking to bear witness to the shadow and allow yourself to release the shadow. If you are a Vaishya, that means that you're more caught up with the physical world, creating money, manifesting in the physical world. And then if you're a Sudra, you're just clocking in and clocking out. You're doing your job, but you don't really care what happens one way or another. You're essentially detached. Now, depending on what level of awakening you are at this moment in your life, you're going to feel these solar flashes differently. I think when I observe some of the people in my life, they're just shut down. They're gonna feel these solar flashes very differently. They're gonna feel them like an agitation or an unrest. But if you are a Brahmin, you're more likely to have done more emotional processing. You're more likely to feel the full spectrum of the shadow as it passes through. Now, depending on how much emotional processing you've done, you're going to be more or less likely to be clinging on to those negative emotions. And of course, also, if you are Sudra, so you're just clocking in and clocking out, you may have the detachment to go through this without ever really noticing. If you're Vaiyshas, again, you're of the world, you're not necessarily getting caught up in the emotions. And the reason I wanted to come on here and talk to you is because if you are and happen to be one of those people who are feeling these solar waves pretty strongly, these coronal mass ejections from our sun, if you're feeling the astrology pretty strongly, and just the fact that anytime Mars and Mercury are together, Mars is the planet of action, and Mercury is the mental body, but this is often a very frenetic energy. It's kind of like asking you to overcome your mental issues, right? And so often the way that manifests is by exhibiting your mental issues or witnessing or bearing witness to mental issues, right? And so, and as Venus comes in and transits into to Capricorn, this is supposed to be grounding you. This is supposed to be giving you the opportunity to, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the opportunity to be very truthful about where you're at, to feel your emotions, to take extra time to ground, drink a lot of water, meditate, and really allow the emotions to wash over you, to feel them. If you have to feel fear or anger, do it. Because on the opposite side of that is freedom. That's how you get to the other side. And I just want to say, a lot of times, if people aren't having the same experience, maybe they're not as focused on the spiritual part of life, maybe it's not even hitting them the same way, they're more apt to put you in a box. It's so easy in our Western culture to run to a doctor and ask them to label you and label your problem, right? But actually in indigenous cultures, whenever people had mental issues or they're experiencing strong emotions, they would actually take them to the shaman. They would take them to their spiritual leader, and that spiritual leader would teach them how to go through these awakening emotions, right? Because this is part of an awakening. Now, if you're not experiencing this right now, you're probably not listening. But if you have experienced this, or you're bearing witness to someone who is experiencing this right now, it's totally normal and natural to have feelings of overwhelm and it's not necessarily indicative that you need to run out and go to a clinician and have you basically either put on medications or necessarily treated by labeling you with some sort of diagnosis. In fact, because of where we're at in the growth of humanity, right now, humanity is going through an evolution. And so many people are going to start awakening. If it's not this wave, just give it a couple months. There'll be a second wave. There'll be another wave and another wave. So I think it's really important to allow for people to have emotions. And I say this because not all the generations are willing to do that. Many people go through their lives wanting for others to just be happy or fix their emotions, like send them someplace to fix them. And the sort of ego that goes along with that is thinking that society is correct in being emotionally suppressed. And I'm going to tell you right now, that is not going to stand. We are not in a time where you can just keep emotionally suppressing. People are going to have to wake up, whether it's now or later. That is just what's happening. And personally, I am a Libra rising, and if you have Libra placements right now, it is not a cakewalk. So, you know, I've borne witness to people having very strong emotions of overwhelm, people saying things like, just kill me now. They're not actually suicidal, folks. I mean, I'm not here to diagnose suicide, and yes, definitely go to a doctor or therapist. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you can't hold space for someone's very deep dissatisfaction or emotions, then the best thing you can do is be supportive and don't label them, because they're going through something and they're choosing to be honest with you about it instead of just sweep it under the rug. Yeah, I have one sister who is so good at this, and she's a Vaiyshas, a businesswoman, and she's so good at this that she just is able to hold the line, and just, she's so good at remaining detached even if I'm going through something. And I do the same thing for her. If she's going through something, I hold the space and allow her to go through what she needs to go through. Not everybody has a person who can hold it down like that. And I get that, because I have another sister who, you know, wants to push everything under the rug. You know, she wants to talk about irrelevant subjects. My mom calls it chorosh and polo conversation, which is a stew and rice conversation. And it's basically a conversation about nothing. And so yesterday, I look at the difference as I was having a hard time. My sister, who's a businesswoman, she is able to, you know, hold space. So she's letting me feel what I have to feel, expressing what I have to express. And I have another sister who, you know, really I haven't talked to a lot lately because she can't understand what I'm going through. And so, but when she calls, she talks about irrelevant things like dresses or, oh, are you going to that wedding? And things like that. On a day where I'm having to confront some of the darkest issues of my life, I have to have a stupid conversation about dresses. And for me, as a Brahmin, as a spiritual category person, it's really not fun. And I'm just sharing with you this level of honesty about what I'm going through, and because I'm trying to normalize the fact that a subset of us, depending on your astrology, depending on, you know, what kind of archetype you are going through heavier emotions and processing things that others are simply not at this time ready to process. But these solar flashes are coming for a reason. They're coming to elicit you to look inwards and to see the ways in which you're self-sabotaging. Are you doing something like holding on to anger or resentment? Are you willing to forgive people? Are you willing to forgive God if that needs to be the case, or your creator? Are you willing to forgive yourself? You know, these are the questions that some of us are going to be wrestling with. And if you think that it's just this month, it's not just this month. Just this month, it might be Libras that are getting hit. But as we go, holding space for people's emotions, for them to go through what they need to go through, whether that's physical illness, it's manifesting in a physical form, or it's manifesting in an emotional form. It is very important not to label people with irreversible diagnoses, and it's very important to convey to them confidence, not in a fake way, not in a way that detracts from what they're going through, but in an honest way to say, I see you and I see what you're going through and I know you can get through this. Because that's the message that people need to hear. And also the other message, if you are processing a lot of emotions right now, is remember this. As low as you go is as high as you go. And that's, you know, from The Alchemist. If you want to follow Sarah Ecaldi, she breaks this down. You cannot ascend if you are not willing to go low. You must go low to go equally high. You must be capable of the full range of emotions. Now, these emotions will not always be so cataclysmic as they are now. You know, cataclysmic awakenings are characterized as stage 2 of awakening. Once you excel to stage 1 of awakening, it's a milder form of ascension that doesn't require, you know, hell and brimstone or whatever kind of awakening. So I just wanted to get on here to say there are many, many modalities for healing. There are many ways to handle emotions. The most important thing for me is when you see somebody handling really hard emotions, is to hold space for them to go through and face those issues, and to also remind them, as my spirit team reminded me, that sometimes you just gotta let go and surrender. And let go of the resistance. Let go of what you're fighting, you know? So at the end of the day, I just wanted to come on here to be truthful about how this feels. And if you are going through these waves this year, there's going to be some amazing triumphs. Hang in there, but also don't deny what's happening. If you are feeling feelings and you don't necessarily, you don't like what's happening in your life, that's a valid issue. Not all of us are at the pinnacle of our lives right now. We're having to deal with issues that are unresolved, unfinished business, things that take time to resolve. This is not necessarily, there's no quick answers. Sometimes the thing that you have to do is sit with your negative emotion, feel it, scream it, yell it, like have a conversation with your maker and hold that discomfort until you've expressed yourself, especially with the full moon in Leo recently. This is all about self-expression. And you'll find out pretty quickly who can and can't handle the truth of what you're going through. And it's not anything bad on them, but it is frustrating. I get it. Not everybody in your life is going to be there for you. Not everybody in your life can, because they don't have the capacity. But one thing is for sure, if they're not awakened now, they will begin to awaken, or they'll get the chance to awaken in the next 5 years or so. So It's you, might be you today, might not be you today, might have been you last month that's going through it. But I can promise you that if we don't, as a community and as a humanity, hold space for people's negative emotion, not in the way of like retaining those negative emotions, but allowing them to express how they feel. Because I'm telling you right now, some of us, the Brahmins in particular, I can speak to this, are feeling for generations of ancestors that have not had the permission to feel. And you can talk to people in your life and they will literally tell you things like, I just want you to be happy. You're going to be so upset that you were unhappy at this time. Or, why don't you just go to a therapist? And look, going to a therapist is great. It is great. But at the end of the day, and if you need to go to a doctor, go to a doctor. I'm not saying anything about that. But what I'm saying is, in the extraordinary circumstances in which we are in, if you are awakening right now, you have to realize that this is not a convenient feeling of emotions. Okay? Others are going to be agitated because you're having deep feelings. Those people are the people who are still in denial about the level of corruption our society is in. They have to be in denial, because if they're not in denial and they don't have a strong hope and a strong connection with unity consciousness, or what you would call God or the Creator, then they're not living with beautiful hope. And it is really this ability to hold these hopes, to believe in the land of milk and honey. Yeah, my dad told me, there's, one time we had this discussion philosophically, and he said, oh, there is no land of milk and honey. And I said to him, Dad, don't you take away the milk and honey from others just because you don't want to have any. That's what I'm saying, guys. It's like on one end, people don't want to, they're afraid of spirituality. They're afraid of tapping into what they actually are, what their natural state is to be connected in unity consciousness. Their natural state is to feel love. But some people are afraid of their own love. And that's because this world is a fallen world. And we got to get it back up now, folks. I'm like, it's time to get up now, folks. I could go on, and I don't want to turn this into a tirade. But if people say things like they're having hard emotions, they're going through ups and downs. I'm going through ups and downs. A lot of people are going through ups and downs. Hold space. Hold space for it. Do not judge. Do not label. Because at the end of the day, it's not you today, it's going to be you tomorrow. So have compassion for this. Have self-compassion. Say, gosh, these are so hard. These emotions are so hard. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's your emotions, because it's not your emotions. It's every ancestor you've had. It's all in your DNA, and your epigenetics are being activated. Why? Because you're clearing the cellular residue. So this is a word about alchemy. This is a word about transmutation. You don't always need to do shadow work, but right now, if you're getting hit with these solar flashes and it is eliciting you to hold space for some shadow, then hold it. Hold that space. Be there with your emotions. Feel the emotions. Express those emotions. And if people can't handle it, then let them let them distance themselves until they're ready. You know, not everybody is a Brahmin. Not everybody is meant to go so low and come all the way back up. I just wanted to come out here and tell you this because, you know, if you awakened 2 decades ago or 3 decades ago, brava, that's wonderful. But if you are going through the awakening now, or you're going through pieces of the awakening now, it's likely to be very agitating. And I guess I just want to say that this is important work. Emotional processing is important work. This is the work that gives you access to your gifts, your intuition in life. This is the work that will give you freedom from suffering in life. Do you understand how important this is? That we allow people to go through this, to go through their pain, to feel their pain, to release their pain, and ultimately to choose freedom and happiness and transcendence, and really to choose to go from lead to gold, as does an alchemist. This is not easy. But I just wanted to come in here and say, if you're going through this, even now, or if you're going through this later, I want to tell you that you're not alone. Don't let the older generations tell you that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with feeling. Feeling is how you heal. So heal yourself. You can do this. You have the power to transform yourself, to forgive, to let go. And through this, you're going to heal your body. You're going to heal your soul. And you can heal others as well who are in your vicinity. So strength is in our ability to feel. And not necessarily dwell in it. That, you know, you don't want to dwell too long. You do want to just feel that emotion and seek to release it. But if you are being pressurized by these solar flares, know that this is actually the natural process of release, and that this will not go on forever. This is just, you know, these few years where humanity is rising. And if you're lucky enough to go through this process and get it done with, then, you know, it becomes lighter. It becomes easier. So that's what I want to say. I just want to wish you guys light, love, enlightenment, and really, I want to wish you strength in this time. And if you need any help, you want me to look at your astrology, I will do that for you. I also have emotional processing sessions. If you need help with that, just DM me or go to my website. It's www.thecelestialyou.com. And of course, I'm there to hold space because I have been through it, and I know what it's like to have real life circumstances that you cannot change, that are forcing you to deal with your shadow, deal with your disappointments. Go ahead and just face it, you know, because that's the way you get unstuck. Like some of my clients have been asking me, how do I get unstuck? This is how. This is happening for you to get unstuck. To embrace all the beauty of the higher timelines available in 2024, which was my previous video. All of that is available in 2024, but you really have to do this work to let go, to ascend to that level where these higher timelines are available for you. So I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about that. I know this was super long-winded, but I wish you guys a really good weekend. Go with the flow, but take care of yourself. Love yourself. Remember that we are one consciousness, and nobody is if somebody's, there's nothing unnatural about having strong emotions right now. That's not unnatural. It's very, very natural. So have a really good weekend, and I'll be with you guys on maybe a less heavy subject in the future. Okay, so take care. Bye.